What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is. Let's get into this. All right, what's up, everybody?
I think we're going to get the hang of doing that the right way.
We're going to hang on something.
I'm telling you, man. We actually did it right again.
That's
2023 is looking up. I mean, after our last episode, I mean, it is looking up. Well,
yeah.
There's a lot of great
there is a lot of cool shit coming out. If you guys check that out when you can.
Yeah, man. If you're listening to this, you've already heard the other episode.
Yeah, so... we talked about all the new movies coming out, bunch of shit that we're excited about,
TV shows, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it was a cool episode, man.
There's going to be quite a bit. I'm pretty excited for 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. Goes, you know? I'm excited for some of the stuff that we're doing. We've been talking a lot about we're going to the Haunted America conference again this year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Get to see some friends that we met a couple years ago and hopefully meet some new friends.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Probably going to piss a bunch of people off, but that's just what we do.
We'll be all right.
Yeah,
we'll find some people that we're going to come bring on the show, so introduce to you guys. So you can hear what they're about. It's going to be a good time, man. We met a lot of cool people the last time we went, and we've had a few of them on the show.
We have.
And those episodes are awesome. We're awesome. And we've actually had some of them on again. And I'm telling you, it's going to be great. But
it's going to be very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So how you been, brother?
I've been good, man. I've been good.
Telling you,
things are up, man. Work is rolling as usual. You know, things are good at home.
Yeah, man. Same thing here, dude. That's been busy.
I feel good.
I am feeling great, man. I tell you, I know I'm one of those fucking people, but like I've been steadily taking care of myself physically, and man, I feel so much better. My mind's clear.
Yeah.
I can focus more on what I'm doing here and at the house, and it all works out better, you know.
Life has been kind of weird for me. In fact, I haven't really talked to you about this, but I been laying off the alcohol, and it's weird how, you know, first few weeks I was like ready to, you know, choke somebody, you know, it's weird how much better I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Hell yeah.
And I never really noticed that I really felt that bad before, you know. But you know, me and the doctor got in an argument, and she fucking threw me on the floor and beat my ass, told me I needed to quit drinking. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again, but, you know, you might as well say I've quit because I haven't had any in a long time.
It's awesome. That's awesome, man. And, you know.
And it's crazy, man. I feel so much better, man. Yep. I'm not so groggy when I get up in the morning, you know, and trust me, I mean, I wasn't really having hangovers because I was drinking high-end whiskey all the time, but, you know.
Yeah, got a little more money in my pocket.
You know, yeah, exactly, you know. I mean, I'm not dumping $300 or $400 a week on alcohol. No, I wasn't doing that anyway. but anyway, no, it's just weird, you know. My blood pressure was getting pretty damn high, and fucking paranoid about it, and now it's fucking way low again, and
it's awesome.
I feel pretty damn good.
Awesome.
Now, if I could just stop eating fucking Twizzlers and fucking donuts and start working out more, I'd probably be all right.
That is hard. Let me tell you right now, man, that's hard. I fight the not really anymore because I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 months now, so I'm past that initial fucking phase of.
That initial fuck my life phase.
Yeah, you know, we're like, God, I really want a fucking Master's Donuts.
Yeah. I had some of those yesterday.
You know, so.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about my demons. We're here to talk about other people's demons. We're here to talk about other people's demons. The demons that's under your bed. Dude, I could never have a kid, you know. My kid would be like, Dad, there's a monster in my closet. I'd be like, no, son. The monster's under your bed.
Yes. And I can't come and help you because I don't want that fucker coming in there.
Yeah. I don't want him grabbing my ankle.
Speaking of ankles, dude, I started watching...
Ankles?
Well, I watched that Someone in Your House. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I just started I can't even remember. I think it's a series, right? Yes, it's a series. I just started. I'm pretty sure it is. Or is it a movie?
No, it's a movie.
Okay, so I only got
if we're thinking about the same thing.
Yeah, about the kids that.
Yeah, one of them's like a football player.
Yes,
that
yes,
lives
yes,
in
yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's a movie.
So that part
Yeah.
where like the thing slices his fucking Achilles tendons on the back.
Oh yeah.
That movie's brutal as shit. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, awesome, man. So I'm trying to catch up on everything, guys. Like I'm trying to watch some stuff that we can talk about on here, and I'm trying to catch up with series and things like that. And it's getting rough, but I'm getting a lot of stuff in
there.
So, but that was really cool. That was a good series. I liked it. It was enjoyable. So
yeah. There's been some good stuff come out lately. There's some big ones out right now that I just have not had a chance to go see. Like I really want to see Megan.
Right.
You know.
Do that.
You know, and dude, we've talked to everybody about this, but the fucking preview for Evil Dead Rise. Jesus Christ.
That's the only thing that's on my mind as far as right now is about really going to watch something.
Yeah.
In a theater. That's the only thing it's like burning in my fucking brain. Like I cannot wait.
There's a few of them coming out.
No, there's
and we talked about a lot about on the last episode.
We're not going to talk about that tonight, but
we're not getting into that again.
It's just that's the only thing that's burning in my brain right now.
Yeah.
That I want to see.
Tonight we're going to do something a little weird. Ryan doesn't even know what we're doing.
Yeah, we just said, hey, don't have any pants on and bring some lubrication.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, bud, I trust you.
This is kind of a weird thing. It's not really a paranormal topic, but it kind of is. It's weird. It's creepy and weird. So it's right up our alley, and it has a lot to do with us. I read an article the other day about this thing called the Universe 25 experiment, and it really struck me. And so we're going to go through some of that. I'm going to give you some of the information on it, and just let you think about stuff on your own and how it relates to us. Basically, the Universe 25 experiment was started by this guy. He was an anthologist. His name was John P. Calhoun. And what he did is he was really big into like social situations and how humans act, you know, socially. And so he decided to do this experiment on rats and mice. He started out years and years ago, back in the 50s, doing experiments on rats. But the actual Universe 25 experiment happened in a period between the late 60s and early 70s, and it involved mice. And so that's what I kind of want to talk about now. This John Calhoun guy was born in 1917. He had been through, you know, he had been a scientist for years, and he had done all kinds of different experiments, but this is his big claim to fame. So, excuse me while I cough. When I started reading through this, it just struck me, you know, so I kind of wanted us to talk about this. So I've pulled up an article, and I'm just going to read little snippets throughout the article, and I'll let you guys, you know, think about it, and then we're going to discuss some stuff too. So Ryan and I are sitting here with one screen is talking about the Universe 25 experiment, and the other screen is the global population.
Now I'm trying to see if that meter is really legit. It seems like they're just pushing numbers every second.
It is. So the Universe 25 experiment, what this guy did is he decided he wanted to watch and observe, you know, these mice in a structured situation. So what he did is he created this habitat for these mice in an old barn, and it wasn't very big. It was like, I think it was like, I don't know, the property he did this on with the rats was 9 acres, but then he condensed it down to what I think is like 10 by 10.
Right.
10 by 10 by 10 cube
Enclosure.
Okay. So he built this enclosure in the thoughts of it would have a capacity for 3,000 mice. Okay. What he did is he took 4 mice and put them in this enclosure. He put 2 males and 2 females in this enclosure, and this enclosure was separated into quadrants. He had built like these things. He called them apartments, and they were like, 5 or 6 feet tall, and they had like little rooms going up through them, and they all had spiral staircases and tunnels that these mice could climb up. And then they had little apartments, and then they had like segregated areas where they could go and get away or do whatever they wanted to do. So when he began the experiment, like I said, I'm sorry, I said 4 mice. It was 4 pairs of mice. He introduced 4 pairs of healthy mice into the enclosure. What's interesting is for the first 104 days, the mice explored their new habitat, marked their territory, and began building nests here and there. He said, and then after 104 days, the population began to increase. As these mice would procreate, they would have mice, and then the females would take care of the I don't know what you call a baby mouse, but the micelings. I don't know.
A baby miceling.
So the females would take care of these mice and raise their young and feed them, and the males would go off to protect and scavenge for food. Now, what's cool about this enclosure, what he did is he gave them an unlimited supply of food and water. He gave them everything they would need. The only difference about this place is it was non-predatory. There were absolutely no predators in there, nothing that could just kill these mice off. So what happened after 104 days of these mice living in this enclosure, going about their daily lives, they started noticing that the number of mice would double. And it doubled every 55 days. So 8 turns into 16, turns into 32.
Those are getting to math. They're
beginning to amass. Now, like I said, he built this enclosure for a 3,000 capacity, but it never made it there. The strange thing about this whole experiment is how these mice started reacting after the population started growing. So even when the population was well under a quarter of the enclosure's capacity, most of the mice still crowded together in select areas. One thing that they noticed is there were several mice that would form these cliques, and they would stay together, and they had all these feeders all the way around the place, but they would notice that, like, they would have 10 mice feeding out of one feeder, and then there'd be several feeders that were empty, and then another feeder would have another 10 or 15 mice at it. They realized that these mice were social eaters. They wanted to eat together.
Right.
And, and basically form neighborhoods, colonies or whatever. So they would share their activities. So mice would group together during feeding times. Even though there was plenty of space to eat by themselves, a lot of them wouldn't do it. By the 315th day, the population reached 620 mice. So that's 315 days. They went from 8 mice to 620 mice. That's a lot.
Fuck yeah.
That's a lot of humping going on there,
Whole lot of humping going on.
Whole lot of humping. Crowding behavior, discouraged mating, heavily contributing to dropping birth rates. What happened was, as the population started growing, some of these mice would not want to mate anymore. They wouldn't want to reproduce.
Right.
So what they started noticing is how we were telling you the population would double every 55 days. Well, once it hit the 315th day, it slowed down to, just a few births every few days, not the doubling aspect that was going on. But the crowding behavior discouraged the mating, and like I said, the birth rates were dropping. They coined this place. It was called Universe 25. This is what this guy called it. What's strange is at the 315th day, he started noticing that now it's going to start to begin its slow decline. So I'm just going to read through this paragraph here. It said that there was a prominent social ladder quickly took shape. Within the male population, the most dominant mice were characterized by their extremely aggressive behavior, and so-called alpha mice would often engage in wildly violent bloodbaths, proceeding to attack, rape, and even practice cannibalism at the expense of their peers. Disturbingly, these violent outbursts usually had no clear provocation or motive. So here we are, the population has grown to not even a third of what he thought it would be, and we're already starting to see issues.
Right.
Some of these mice are starting to dominate others. The females would separate themselves. They would go into hiding. These males would actually follow them into the burrows, which in the mice culture, that doesn't typically happen. The males will not follow a female into her burrow. In here, they were following the females into their burrow, and they would end up, if she didn't want to put out, they made her put out.
Right.
And so they would end up raping her, and sometimes they would even eat her young.
Oh, yeah.
And I get that, mice are wild, but as time went on, these mice became more aggressive, and then you had these women. You had these female mice that were trying to hide in seclusion. Well, they got to the point where they didn't even want to take care of their young. So a lot of times they would try and move their babies, but they would only move a few of them and just leave the others there to die or whatever.
Right.
Now, they're not in a huge enclosure, but they're leaving these babies unattended. It was really, really weird. They were talking about some of these dominant males would get to the point where after so long, they didn't even care who they were having sex with. They started having sex with the females, other males. I mean,
sounds like a Tuesday night.
Yeah, sounds like a Tuesday at Ryan's house. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, though, there were the least socially adept mice who were completely excluded from mating. They spent their time moving between larger groups of mice, eating and sleeping by themselves. Occasionally, these mice would also fight one another. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is there's a lot of parallels between what was going on here and what happens in our larger cities with humans.
Yeah.
You put too many people in a city, and you're going to cause problems. Well, some people are going to thrive, but others are.
Well, it's just like people. So say you had 3,000 people in a place, right? We had 3,000 people in one area, right? At least 100 of those people are going to be assholes. At least, probably more. And I think that humans, as it sounds like in a lot of other animal natures and everything like that, are tribal people. You want to feel like you belong somewhere. You want to feel like you for the majority. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there what they call like the Ronins, who they travel on their own path and do their own thing, but, that's not a life no one really wants to live. You know, people don't really want to be alone.
Well, and some people want to live that life.
Right.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like what was happening here, where you had some of these mice would segregate themselves from the rest of the pack.
Right.
You know, we have that stuff happening now too, where you've got certain people that just don't want to be in that social situation. You know, there were stories as I was going through some other articles on this. There were stories about how some of these mice would, they were afraid to be around other.
Oh, and there's definitely people who
other groups like that. And like some of these mice, one of the things they talked about was they had these mice that he called the beautiful ones. And basically these mice were the only ones in the group, and it was not very many of them, but they were constantly grooming themselves and keeping themselves looking good, and they didn't fall into these cliques with these other mice, and
right.
They kind of kept to themselves. And you know, it's very interesting that a mouse would do this, you know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we can only understand so much because realistically, we have no idea what a mouse thinks or how a mouse.
We don't.
You know, what they see, what they don't see. Like, we really don't know any of this stuff. And, but just from what I see in the world and what's going on and everything like that, like, yeah, the humans are very tribalistic.
Right.
With everything, you know, when it comes to politics or religion or whatever it may be, just living life in general. You want to talk to people who you can talk to. You know,
right.
You don't want to sit there and have to argue with people all the time, and it's not. I don't think it's necessarily good for you to sit there and talk to people who fucking argue with you all the time, and just it's not good mentally or physically for you.
Well, then why the fuck do we keep getting together?
I'm telling you, we spend the first 10 minutes we get together fucking cussing each other out.
No shit.
No, but
fucking fart in your general direction.
Yes, and just cup it and throw it at you.
Take a whiff. Take a whiff.
But no, I think that and that's like whenever it's something else I think about too is how quickly people can come together. If you look at like just in the horror world, you know, with scary movies or anything that's creepy, you know, you go to, and we won't go too deep into this, but we kind of figured that out. Going to a haunted attraction. Right. You go to a haunted attraction and you may be there and there may be a group of other people who are there. And then you guys wind up being pushed together into this group, whatever you got to do. Situation you got to be put in. And you guys wind up sticking together the entire time, trying to figure things out and trying to get out of there.
And we're talking, you got the stoners, you got the jocks, you got the socials.
Yeah, whoever.
All together.
Yeah,
all
greasers,
together.
all that. Anyway, they could all be together and you get put in a situation and you have to work together. And it brings you together.
Right.
You know? And it happens just like that, real quickly. And I think that that's just the way that, and it's kind of sounding like some animals are the same way. That's just the way that, what reason, that's how we're wired, you know? And,
well, and you know, and that's what happened with this is basically it took 3 years to run through this cycle. And it was all the way from the start with 8 mice to the last mouse dying. And there was no outside interruption at all. It was just the rise of their hierarchy and then the fall.
Well, if you look at
the Romans.
The Romans, everything, and, you know.
So the reason why I wanted to bring this up, there's a lot more to this. If you guys get in, look for the article. Look for an article called Universe 25 Experiment. It's very cool, and there's a lot of stuff. I mean, because he talks about how they have different phases, you know, like the procreation phase. And then he said there was actually 2 death phases. There was the first death and then the second death. The first death is where they lose their motive or their drive for anything. They stop procreating, they stop being social, they just don't do anything.
Right.
And then the second death is, of course, when they actually die. What was really cool about this is when you get down to the end of it, he talks about some of the mice. So the experiment ended when the last male mouse died. I mean, because there's no more procreation. You've got nothing but females, and there's not many of those left either.
Right.
So he had taken some of some of the mice out, some of the beautiful ones that I was talking about earlier. He had taken some of them out and tried to start
a new colony
with them, and nothing ever happened because they had already lost their drive.
Right.
And their motivation to procreate and all that.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's very, very crazy. So, I brought this up for a reason, and on our other screen, we've got the world population counter going on. And I wanted to bring this up because I'm just going to throw this out there right off the bat, okay? So right now, the world population, the global population, is just over 8 billion. Okay, just in like the Universe 25 experiment, he had a capacity of 3,000.
Right.
Okay, the biggest it ever got was 2,200, and then it would start going backwards. He did this experiment 2 or 3 times, and it never would reach capacity.
Right.
It would always die out around 2,000. So looking at this, in Universe 25, he had a capacity of 3,000. What's the capacity of the Earth?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, honestly, we could take the entire population of the Earth right now and stand them shoulder to shoulder, and they'd fit in Texas.
Right. Well, I don't know that they'd fit in Texas.
Yes. Yeah, they've already talked about it. The entirety of the Earth could fit shoulder to shoulder in Texas.
Okay. That sounds crazy, but okay.
They just talked about that on the podcast.
Okay, right on. Well, the reason why I wanted to talk about the global population is one of the things while I was looking at that a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to throw this number out there, and you're going to think this is unbelievable. 6%. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. The amount of people that are alive on the earth right now are 6% of all the humans that have ever lived on Earth.
Right.
Okay? I know that sounds crazy, but sometime around the 1800s, the global population took a huge boom. Okay? We went from a global population of several million to all of a sudden we're hitting a billion. We're hitting 2 billion.
It's because aliens came and dropped off all the extra people.
Well, what happened was between... Well, I'll have to scroll down here. If you look at the timeline here, so this is the global population. We know you guys can't see this, but look at where it jumped.
Right.
There was a thing that like we hit 6 billion in 1973 and then hit another 7 billion in 1987, I think it was, is what they were saying. So, and now we just hit 8 billion in 2022. So what they think is we're probably going to hit 9 billion come 2028, and we probably won't hit 10 billion until 2058.
I blame it on cocaine and Viagra.
Well, what's weird is we had this huge boom during the during the 1800s, early 1900s. At one point, the global population was growing at a rate of 2% a year. Well, now it's slowed down.
Well, yeah.
Again,
trying to get rid of us.
now we're growing at a rate of like 0.9% a year or something like that. Nobody really knows why. Is it because of places being overpopulated?
I think it's a big thing of honestly with population. I think it's a big thing that has to do with governments controlling the population.
Well,
helping curve that number.
So
which I talked about.
There's that, and then what if the global population is kind of getting to the point where these mice were?
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Getting to the point where you lose your drive, you lose your, look at the number of people. Like, for instance, myself. I'm 51 years old, never had any kids.
Right. I think it, but
there's a lot of people in my, that just I don't need kids.
I think there's a big difference and the big difference between in this experiment and us as humans is that there's a lot more that comes into play and a factor for our situation than that situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like mice have no,
There's no other form. So that guy who did the experiment,
have nothing to, no medical intervention,
exactly.
no nothing.
There's nothing else. There's no governments telling them what to do.
Right.
There's no one else putting a hand. He wasn't like, putting a hand in there and kind of messing with this to make sure this doesn't happen.
Right.
Like if you look at the China's one child policy, they didn't have that in this,
Right.
Things like that.
Well, and then let me scroll up here, because if you look at it, you look at global population, we just said it's a little over 8 billion. Well, there's 1.4 billion in China alone.
Right. And that's if you believe those numbers.
I mean, that's, it's a rough estimate. I mean,
Exactly.
they can't count everybody. But.
Right. But, I think that that's the way that humans are. And I think that when you live, like you said, you have these certain populations, they're going to do certain things,
Right.
And I think that that's why whenever you live, this experiment shows that whenever you live in a smaller population, people are a lot nicer. And the reason why I say that is that when you live in a smaller population, you kind of understand the importance of having other people. When you live on top on top of each other, like in China or New York, even New York City, when you're living on top of people in New York City are assholes to each other.
Yeah.
Because they're on top of each other constantly. People look like they're everywhere. But when you live in a smaller place, you kind of understand that we need other people to survive. And if I live in a small town and I see you drive by, I'm going to wave at you because I know, hey man, someday I might need his help or he might need our help. We live here together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that as far as the experiment goes, things like that, I think that, and that goes into what I said. So like there was a major disaster, let's say, something I love apocalyptic movies. I love, all that kind of stuff. So like if there was a disaster, you're going to, when you find someone,
you're going to stick with them.
Yeah, they're valuable to you.
Right.
It's a value thing, and you understand, hey, I need you to survive, you need me to survive, so that's what we're going to do. And I see what you're saying with the connection here, as far as that goes. And what's really stunning about this is not necessarily the numbers and why we're at where we're at as humans, but the fact is how the actions that are taken. We act the same as they act.
Right.
They're just on a smaller scale.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was getting at with this. These mice were doing the exact same things that we do every day. You know, we form cliques,
Right.
You and I, we have a clique.
Right,
we don't want to be around anybody else. No, but, I mean, you think back, or maybe you're still, but think back when you were in high school. You hung out with a certain group of people.
Right.
Nobody else, I'm not saying that nobody else mattered, but they weren't your people.
Yeah.
And these mice were doing the same thing. They were huddled up in groups.
Right.
They weren't just like, and then there were some that were shunned because of some reason or another, and the same thing happens in the human population.
Right.
The reason why I wanted to get into this is when's it going to stop? When you look at this number clicking away up here.
Yeah, see, and here's my thing with all this. When you get the numbers, like, it's hard for me to believe that anyone is going to be able to look at those numbers. You see how quickly these numbers are changing?
Right. Well,
there's no fucking way.
So this is an algorithm.
100%.
This is an algorithm.
It's
There's not somebody out there counting, And
that's my whole point. Like, it kind of is like... I hear a lot of people that travel a lot when listen to podcasts, and there's big podcasters, people who travel all the time, and they're like, man, when you leave the big cities, there's a lot of open space out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of open space out there.
Absolutely. But what I'm getting at is these people that are in a city, okay, it really makes you look at it. If you think about what was going on with these mice in their own little city,
right,
and then a place like St. Louis in their own little city.
Right. Well, you got to look...
you can understand.
So let's say,
where the conflict's coming from, and why there's so much murder and so much.
Right,
You know.
and I'll put it like I said. I'll put it like this. Let's say, if you leave your big cities, it's not that bad out there.
No, it's not. That's why I live here.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, a lot of the people who live in these cities, they don't understand. But, like, let's say the population of the earth, like I said, someone could check me out on that, but I'm almost I'm like 99% sure that they were talking about that. You can fit every person in the world shoulder to shoulder in Texas. So,
well, Texas is a big motherfucker. That
being said, say you did that, right? Let's say everybody was in Texas. It would seem like it's the end of the fucking world every day. Right. But then yet there's all this open
space.
It depends on what you're, like you said, this experiment took place in a small area.
Right.
So that's what it's about. And I know I say his name a lot, but Joe Rogan was talking about this. He's like, I feel like when you live in big cities, there's just too many people.
Right.
You're on top of each other, and people don't fucking
Absolutely.
feel you lose the.
You don't feel safe.
Well, not only that, but you lose the aspect of, like I was saying earlier, you lose the aspect of how important people are.
Yeah.
How important your community is to you. And like everyone's like, oh, you got to be open to everyone. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you should be accepting to everyone.
Right.
As far as like, you do you, bro. I'm gonna do me. We're cool.
Just turn down that fucking radio.
Yeah. No, I don't ever say that. But no, you do you, I'll do me, and we're fine, right? I don't have to let you into my life.
Right.
But I can't say, hey, you're all right. I accept you what you're doing. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Go live your life, be good. But I don't have to let you in my clique. Right. I don't have to let you into my group because my group doesn't function with your group.
Right.
You know? That's like for me. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly what was happening.
So, like, I'm a horror head. You're a horror head. We love horror movies. We love the macabre. We love crazy shit.
Yeah. But we're not out there fucking killing people.
Right. But a lot of people don't fucking like that.
Right.
You know? Like, I have
my wife doesn't care for it.
Well, I have some people who will say, oh, you're going to hell for that I know. And I'm like,
no, I'm going to hell for some other things.
That'd be the least of the thing. Yeah. No, but like, I'm still fine with them.
Right.
I can't bring them to fucking dinner with my other friend. I can't take them to the Honda America conference with me because they're judgmental fucking people.
Yeah.
Or they say, I don't want to be around that. Right. And that's kind of how it is. And you know what? Right. I think that's fucking fine. I think it's fine that people are clicking up and people have their own shit. I don't think you should have to let everyone in your shit. Because you know what? Drama and stress and all that bullshit is not good for you, man.
No.
It's not good for your mental. It's not good for your psyche, man. People are like, oh, you got to open your mind and get away from just...
free your mind.
Yeah, it's like my mind is fucking really free. But also I'm strong enough to understand that I don't need certain motherfuckers around me all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get this. When they have to be around each other,
yeah,
that's when you start fucking killing motherfuckers. Right. And that's when you start beating motherfuckers' ass. And I think that's just the way it is. And I think a large majority of people in this world get together quite well. For the amount of fucking people there are in this world.
For the 8 billion people that are living on this planet.
A majority of people get along very well.
Oh, yeah.
And we get along very civilly. I think so. Now, is there a lot of violence and shit? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, that's like, I'm not going to go too far in this, but that's like with, you guys know me. When it comes to guns, Second Amendment, I'm a fucking firm believer in it, 1,000%. If there was a gun problem in the U.S., there's more guns than there are people in the United States.
Right.
If everybody who owned guns was a problem, we'd have a lot of dead motherfuckers in the world.
Right.
I mean, the United States population would probably be cut in half very quickly.
Yeah.
But those of us who are Second Amendment people like that, we're not like that.
No.
So that's why people aren't getting shot every fucking day around where we live at. Right. There's a lot of people around this motherfucker where we live that own a shitload of guns. Me being one of them. But when's the last time you seen some people get shot around here dead all over the place?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that it's the mental thing you're talking about, like with the experiment you're talking about, When you're living on top of each other, that's the way it's going to be.
Absolutely.
You can't live like that. Now, with the population growing, I don't know what that cap would be. I don't know if we're actually going to reach...
and there may never be a cap.
Exactly.
There may not. It just, after reading through this article and thinking about global population the way it is, and it's like, You know, because I remember, you know, I'm old. I grew up in the 70s, you know. Growing up in the 70s, I mean, the world was a lot different place, but we still had the same issues.
Right.
You know, we
Right.
still had people dying, people getting killed, you know.
People doing stupid shit.
We had serial killers.
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
We had cereal, too, which I ate a lot of.
Wasn't as good as the cereal now.
I don't know. It was pretty damn good. Fucking Captain Crunch ain't changed much.
But, you know,
But yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy how we all act. And I think that goes into the multiple conversations we've had with people about how I feel, like, and you kind of agree with me on it, that we're all connected, really.
Right.
You know, I think that so let's go back to before there was electricity. I think that people,
Which in the grand scheme of things wasn't that long ago.
right. I think people are a lot more connected. So I was thinking about this the other day because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and they've been talking about like the Egypt and the pyramids and how the Mayans built this
Oh my
and the Egyptians built this and this is built, and they're like, oh, how did they do that far away from thousands miles away from they're building the same thing and stuff. I think that humans were a lot more connected back then. I think they were more telepathically connected than we think.
Yeah.
I think that the internet
And I think we've lost a lot of that.
that's what I was getting ready to say. The internet and the electric waves are disrupting our ways that we used to connect. And I think that we could, I'm not sure how, but I think we could communicate through vast distances a lot easier then when there wasn't that interference. And I think
that makes a lot of sense.
and I think that, you know, we talk about high think and stuff like that. There's another experiment with rats. I think we may have talked about it. I don't know for sure, but anyways, there's another experiment with rats they did. They put these rats into these mazes, right? And they put cheese at the end of the maze, and the rat had to get to where the cheese is at.
Right.
Well, once the rat found out where the cheese was at and got to the cheese, the next rat could find it that much more quicker. The next rat after that, a lot more quicker. And it's in their DNA. They did the same experiment, and across country they had another ones, and the ones across country were figuring it out quicker.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
well, that's like with the acacia trees. I think we talked about that. How they change the taste. So like if a giraffe is eating one, the rest of the acacia trees around them will change the fucking taste of their leaves,
Right.
to fucking make it bitter, so they wouldn't eat them. Physically change it.
Yeah.
They would communicate through the ground. So I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
What's
And
to say that we couldn't do that at one time?
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, we probably could communicate way better back then.
Right.
You know? Then again, it could also have been aliens that helped us do everything.
Could have been.
Which,
Dude, it's so funny. I was strolling down the rabbit hole of YouTube, and
big old rabbit hole.
I run into this video that Elon Musk now knows how and why the pyramids were built. I was like, what?
Interesting.
I watched a couple minutes of it, and then I was like, I got to turn this off. I can't do it. I can't do it.
That's like everybody's talking about Elon Musk being super smart. I got a conspiracy theory about that. I think that
Maybe
already,
he's not smart.
No, I think he is. I think he already fucking put that chip in his brain. That
Yeah.
that
The meta chip.
meta chip thing he's
whatever
talking
it
about.
is.
I think maybe he's already put it on himself. The Neuralink.
Neuralink, that's what it is. Yeah,
Neuralink.
Neuralink. Yeah.
I think he may have already used it on himself. And I think that if you notice when he speaks to people, he talks a certain way. And I think that's him trying to compute how to talk to people and them be able to understand it.
Well, he does think he's smarter than everybody else.
I mean, it seems to be
And maybe he is.
definitely smarter than I am.
Well, I couldn't fucking do the shit that he's done.
But, you know.
Nor would I want to. You
Oh,
know?
fuck no, dude. I don't need any kind of my brain going anywhere else right now. It fucking goes 90 to nothing enough as it fucking is. But anyways, yeah, man, I mean, I've been on a kick with that fucking alien shit because a lot of people have been talking about it, like the way the pyramids and like different locations in the world that the pyramids have been,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
built. the Aztecs or the Mayans or whatever, and then, I mean, thousands of miles away, they're building the same type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, you really, if you ever get the chance, Ancient Aliens did a special that was like 4 hours long called Declassified.
Yeah, I think I seen that.
Oh, dude, it was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, man.
But that Giorgio Sokoloff, I just love that guy, man. He is fucking out there, but he's out there.
That's our type of people.
But I was like, man, I'd love to just sit down and talk to him for a while. You know?
Yeah, man.
That's it. I'm going to send him a message.
Well, yeah.
Giorgio, if you're out there, get a hold of it. Here, we'll do it telepathically.
Telepathetically. But no, we'll talk about it after here because I want to try to go to a big convention sometime.
I want to go, dude. You're gonna think I'm crazy. I want to go to one of those fucking big UFO conventions out in like Nevada and shit, where fucking George Knapp is.
Fuck yeah, that'd be badass.
Stuff. I'd love to fucking go to one of those sometime.
Yeah. A lot of stuff to be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's a crazy experiment, and I mean,
but it was just kind of a cool little thing that I just happened to fucking.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy experiments out there. We can get into some of that stuff too. And what we should do is get into those sleep deprivation experiments.
Oh yeah,
that's what
like
really
that Russian sleep deprivation.
Yeah, we actually need to do let's do that next week.
Okay, we can do that.
That'll be fucking cool.
We still need to get into our fucking Project Montauk and all that too.
Yes.
Because we've been talking about that for months, and
so we got some fucking planning. We got some planning to do.
We got plans. We got
some shit we got to plan.
But yeah.
Fun times, guys.
Good times.
So now you guys know we're all connected. Now go home. Now stop doing this. Stop listening to this and go and think about.
No, don't stop listening to this.
Think about how everything is connected, guys, and then try to live the rest of your life.
Connect your. Oh, never mind. I won't go there.
Yeah, guys, that's
the mice
it.
Were going there.
That's it for tonight. But we're gonna keep on putting this stuff.
Yeah, we
out.
know. We know this is kind of a weird episode, but yeah,
it's interesting. We have our own podcast, and we want to talk about
can talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like we have our own fucking podcast.
We got our own platform to get our fucking bullshit out to the masses.
Holy shit.
Check us out.
Right on, guys. We love you,
Check us out,
fam.
horrorchronicles@gmail.com.
Yes, man. Guys, get a hold of us. We really want to get some of these people on.
Definitely. Reach out to us. Email is horrorchroniclespodcast@gmail.com. I would give you a Facebook page, but Facebook told us to fuck off, so we're not on Facebook anymore. But we are on Twitter. You can find us at The Horror Chron. That's HORRORCHRON. You can get a hold of us there. I'm on there quite a bit. We still got the Facebook group, but nobody goes there. So get a hold of us.
Yeah, guys,
we'd love to talk to you.
We love you guys. So we're working on doing our own website.
We're gonna bounce.
Working on doing our own website, so it'll be in the process.
Get there.
It's in the process. So, all right, guys, we love you, horror fam, and thank you for your support as always, man. And keep on spreading the word out there.
Keep on keeping on.
But more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.